Good morning, everybody. I have apologies to make for not being here yesterday when I said I was going to. And yeah, household chaos ensued. There was cancelled flights, there were grumpy teenagers, there was a car having to be lent to a daughter. It was a disaster here yesterday. And yeah. However, we are all now in the places we're supposed to be. The children have travelled, they're with their father, and everything is as normal as it can be. Having said that, my best friend just walked back in the door after having a pickup for work cancelled because we had to lend the car, and then she's had to arrange someone else to come and get her. Now she's late for work. So while the chaos continues to ensue, it's nothing I have to be present for. So I'm here, finally. Yay! So my sincere apologies for those of you who did check in yesterday, and to Emily in particular for actually contacting me direct to make sure I was okay. Thank you so much. That was really touching that you actually thought to go, oh, I actually might check in. So thank you. I do appreciate that. So good to see you. Who have we got? We've got Daniel and Charlie. Now, my little eyeball symbol tells me there are more people here than are commenting. So good morning, good evening, good whatever time of day it is. So I'm glad to have you here. It's very lovely to see you. And I'm doing reading sprints because I'm rubbish at my own read along. We being a group of YouTubers, are reading the Soldier Son trilogy by Robin Hobb, and I kept putting that off and putting that off and putting that off, and I picked it up yesterday afternoon after the children finally got away, and I was up quite late. I did very well for one day. I'm 2/3 through, so I think I will finish today, but it's going to take some concerted effort. And because I procrastinated so long, I didn't leave myself enough time to be taking very many notes. So I haven't been updating anybody in Discord. So yeah, I'm a bit rubbish at my own read along. So what are you guys reading? I mean, it happens. It's the last day of the month for me. It's the last day of school term for me. Well, for my best friend's children. And it's just meant everything's a bit ragged, which is no fun for anyone. Daniel's reading The Hexologist. Okay, you've never read Bancroft before, but you're loving it. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. That's fantastic. There is nothing better than a new book actually bringing excitement. But yeah, Atalea, how am I liking Soldier Son so far? I am liking it. It's odd because a lot of not even the themes, but a lot of the story beats are very similar to the coming of age story of Fitz in the beginning of Assassin's Apprentice. Young man, isolated, rural, just learning, and yet he's a very different character to Fitz. And I don't know that I like him very much, but I mean, he's not a horrible person. He just seems very placid. I don't know. He just seems very kind of passive, I think is the word I want. But, you know, I suppose he is kind of, at this point in the story, a conduit. But anyway. And The Social Butterfly. Hello. You're reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Now, a lot of people were reading that last year. I think it must have come out last year or the year before. So are you enjoying it? Is it good? Charlie, halfway through Assassin's Quest. Yay! First read through. My question is, how common is it to take a break between Farseer and LiveShip? Darling, it is so incredibly common because people go, I love this story and I love Fitz and I don't want to read a series about other characters. I just want to read about Fitz. And the idea of talking ships is ridiculous and I don't want to read it because it sounds stupid. And so people leave it for years And then when they finally read Live Ships, because they do actually want to read the next Fitz installment, they kick themselves universally. Okay, the regret is instant, universal, and everybody thinks they're an idiot for just not going through and picking it up earlier, because Live Ships is fucking brilliant. However, you're asking because it's Assassin's Quest and it's very slow and you're like, oh my God, I need to get the energy to read some more Hob. This is so long. Still go straight into Live Ships because it has a very different pacing structure. It has very different characters. And so take as long as you want, as long as you need. But don't put it off because it's not Fitz, because it's brilliant. So, yeah. Where are we? Okay. Only read the first 2 chapters. It was really great, very funny. Anyway, this is the Hexologists. Nice. And what have we got here? You're reading Memories of Ice. Ooh. Doing the master's course in fantasy. Well, you'll have to join all of the million Malazan discussions and, or rather, watch all of the million discussions. There are so many. People get so invested in it. So I'm glad you're reading that. Somehow I'm always reading a Hob book whenever you're hosting a read-along. Well, I shall be flattered. And you're halfway through Ship of Destiny. Oh, that's exciting. There's so much going on in that book. And I know you're in Discord. Feel free to message me if you need support or information or stuff, because that can be pretty confronting. Alatia loved The Seven Husbands. Nice. And Anne's enjoying it. That's great. What have we got? Emily, hi. Very boring book for professional development. Oh, the joys of being a teacher. I have to run to my local bookstore. Oh, nice. Love it that they're holding stuff for you. And I will enjoy your company when you come back. Second Fitz series before Live Ship by accident. Oh, dear. So I kind of took a break between Fast Share. Yes, you did. I'm actually quite interested to know how that felt reading Tawny without the context from Live Ship. Because once you read Live Ship, you realise how much context there is in Tawny. So that's interesting. God. Books of Babel was amazing. Can't wait to read The Hexologists. Nice. Well, I'm glad everybody's got a good book to read. So I think, because my cup of tea is going cold, I'm going to start us on our first sprint. And what are we? We're 7 minutes past 8. So if we go to 40, so if we go to 20 to 9 for me, so that's to 40. That works for me. 35 minutes, 30 minutes. Yeah, that sounds good to me. Alrighty, well, I shall see you all shortly. And just so you wonder why I'm about to skip a whole bunch, I did some of this on Audible last night, and I haven't updated my bookmark. So I'm not cheating, I promise. Alrighty, we're just going to gently work our way back into actual conversation tones and welcome you all back from a sprint. How did we all do? I did pretty well. It actually looks like I did way better than I actually did because most of that was by Audible last night. So by Audible, I must have done about, maybe 100 and so pages, maybe more. But I only have 90 pages to go, which, given that I only started it yesterday, I'm quite proud of. So, and Hob is living up to Hobness, and our main character is having all of the disasters befall him. So, off to a totally expected start. But there you go. I see we have been joined by our lovely friend Evie. Hi, Evie. And Atalia read a chapter on 16. Nice. So let me think. 16, Fool's Quest. Not Fool's, Assassin's Quest. Okay. Rough idea where you are. And we've got Bards and Books. Hello. In the middle of Dragonwing. Ooh, nice. That's a very pretty book. I've seen that about. But not physically, because New Zealand doesn't have a great selection of physical books in the shops. Having said that, one of our local big box stores actually is the only place I've ever seen Adrian Tchaikovsky, the Shadows of the Apt series, which is really unusual. However, Darren All, hello. The name of that book's behind you. Bear and the Nightingale's mesmerizing. Is it good? Sounds like a Russian folktale. I am behind in reading this also because I was supposed to be reading Bear and the Nightingale alongside Shaman's Crossing. So I'll probably be picking that up in, I was about to say the first week of July, but that's like tomorrow. So in the next few days, I shall be reading it. But it is our lovely friend Evie's very favourite book, even over and above Realm of the Elderlings. So it has incredibly high potential to be amazing. And yes, it appears to have a very Russian theme. And these books, by the way, so beautiful. So beautiful. And yes, I am looking forward to reading that. So that will be my treat for having raced through Shaman's Crossing as fast as I have. But yeah, you get that. I don't actually know very much about Bear and the Nightingale. I'm pretty much going in completely blind and just giving pure faith that Evie knows what she's talking about and that it's good. Because I don't think I've actually heard anybody say they didn't enjoy it. And quite a few people I know have read it. Yeah, I know Jolene up she's in Belgium, I think. I know she's read it and she really enjoys it. I know she thinks it's beautiful. I think she's the one I've heard the most praise of the book from. So, other than from Evie. But yeah, Walking with Books. Hey, how are you, Jerome? I think I'm saying that right. I may not be. Currently halfway through Oathbringer. Made some jigsaws, listening to another audiobook. Nice. I'm about to start. That's not true. Soon I shall be starting a 3,000-piece puzzle that I got from the secondhand shop. And I did my usual trick of throwing away the box. And that was several weeks ago. So I have completely forgotten what the jigsaw is supposed to look like. But that's always the plan. And I shall hopefully get that out of the way in the next week or so. Okay, Atalia, who is your favourite character in live ships? I know in Realm of the Elderlings it's Fitz, so I'm curious to see who it is in this trilogy. Paragon, which, yeah, it's amazing. And the fact that a talking ship, can be my favourite character in a Hob book, with Hob being as amazing as characters as she is, should tell you enough about how amazing Live Ships is. But there you go. Okay, here we go. I've never read Narnia as a kid, so decided to read this year as I'm reading lots of legendary children YA books. Nice. So have you just started reading Narnia, and what order are you reading them in, publication or chronological? Because The Magician's Nephew came out quite late in the piece. I don't know if it was the last published or just simply very late in the series, but because I know I started with Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, and it's one of my favourites. When I say favourites, I think I could probably tell you most of the story until as far as the major beats go. But, or could I? Yeah, I probably could. There are some free online apps where you simply upload a puzzle picture. Yes, I've got, which one have I got? I think it's just called jigsawpuzzle.com or something, and I can do about a 300 piece on my screen. And that's pretty good. And it's Andrew. Hey, Daniel. Most of the anthology editions put them chronologically. Oh, okay. Rather than publication. I didn't know that, but then I haven't looked at a box set of Narnia for quite some time. So, yeah. And so we've got a greeting for Andrew. Good to see you, Andrew. I was talking about you, leaving messages about you yesterday, talking with Pete over at Ponderings of Pete, because he's working his way through the Rainwell Chronicles. And we are thinking about, once Pete has finished the entire series, we were thinking about hopefully inviting yourself and Nico into a discussion about the necessity of those final 2 series. No, it's good. It's okay, Andrew. It's okay. But I think it's worth a discussion as to the points that you make, because they're good points. And I think a discussion would be, I don't know, interesting for people, because, I love them, but I'm not the only person who's read them. So it would be a good discussion, I think. Evie's back. Hello. On the phone with the therapist. I'm reading Shaman's Crossing. I only have 90 pages to go. Hooray. And I'm going to start Bear and the Nightingale probably tomorrow. So, and Matt's here. Hello. I tried reading the first Narnia book to my 6-year-old. The language was a bit too difficult for her. That's sad. Got tired of rewording all the complex words. Try again in a year or 2. Good idea. It's a lovely, lovely story. But as I say, at 6, yes, she might be a little bit little for it. It's such a lovely story. Andrew, it sounds like an entertaining or possibly catastrophic endeavour. I think we're all lovely enough people that we can keep civil tongues in our heads. We all like each other and all allow for a difference of opinion. So I think it would be a great discussion, Andrew. Okay. Narnia is where you started too. Glad that you did. Nice. I'm glad. Narnia, it's a very charming series. Bear and the Nightingale. Woohoo! Yes, Torinol was asking about it just a little earlier. I don't really know anything about it. I'm literally going in trusting your word, Evie. So any kind of outliney hints that you could give Torinol here in the chat, I'm sure would be appreciated, because they're interested. And I couldn't help them with actual conversation. Yeah. Will Evie be there? Because she was a hard woman. I don't know. We might have to give her a Prozac beforehand, if that's the case, unless we gag her maybe for the first little while until, the civil tone of the conversation is established. Because I know that Evie loves you too. Okay, life is getting in the way and Brain has been craving Realm of the Elderlings Hob, so I'll have to defer Soldier Sun for a later date. Fair enough. I have no problems with this. As you know, this is always going to be something I recommend and highly endorse. Realm of the Elderling rereads is a great thing to be doing. And there we go. See, your word's good enough for Torinol as well, which I think is brilliant. Okay, what have we got? Yes, the new release ebook lists The Magician's Nephew as book 1. Oh, well, there you go. That's as simple as that. Here we go. See, Evie loves you, Andrew. Done enough crapping on your wrong opinions over the past few months. This is true. Have I talked to Jake about Realm of the Elderlings? I haven't yet. With him being, because he's been involved in a few panels lately, I am about to reach out to him fairly shortly, because he's slowly rereading. And when he gets to his reread of Live Ships, I think I want to talk to him, because he's such a fan of Live Ships. And I think he would appreciate talking most about that one. So, yeah. I think he's, I don't know, he likes it. So, and here we go. Andrew, you mean my better opinions. Okay, Andrew, if you're going to be like that, nobody's opinion is better than anybody else's. Some are merely more grounded in with time invested. So, how's that? Anyway. And we've got 60% through and enjoy it. Haven't got to the parts that I remember from the cartoon. I only knew the cartoon as a kid. Cartoon of Narnia? Yeah. I don't even remember there being a cartoon of Narnia. Oh, that's exciting. I'll have to go and look for that. But because I only remember the TV show from the BBC. The Omnibus of Narnia has Magician's Nephew as the first book. So there you go. Be the Nightingale, melancholic, dark Russian fairy folktale. Ooh, yay. A kind of coming-of-age story, but also an exploration of faith and its variations. Oh, I like that. So, yeah. Oh, I'm glad I'm reading that then, because that's my next one. There was a cartoon. Yeah, I don't remember a cartoon. So, but then, what's going on? Hi, Colin. How are you? I have been zooming through Shaman's Crossing, book 1 of Soldier Son, because I am rubbish at my own read along. And yeah, I suddenly thought, oh goodness, okay, it's the last day of June today for me in New Zealand in the future, and I should really get on that. So I've pretty much just been reading this for the last 2 and a bit days around the chaos in my house. But the chaos has eased. There was even some more chaos this morning, but that's okay. The children managed to get other flights to get to their father so that they can then sleep for a day and then go away on holiday to the Pacific Islands. They're going to Vanuatu, which is very glorious and very sunny, and the children are beside themselves being excited. And I say the children, they're teenagers. They're 13 and 15. So, that's a good thing. And then this morning there was additional chaos because of the chaos yesterday, which meant the car wasn't here. And my best friend had to rely on someone else to get her to work. And she missed a message and so wasn't able to be picked up for work. But at that point, it was too late for her to catch the train to work and had to organise someone else coming to get it. Was chaos. So, yeah. Living with people is taking some energy, guys. It's taking some energy, which is why I haven't been all that great at uploads. So I'm trying to do better, but it's hard. But, it happens. So I don't know that I would call it lovely chaos, but it's definitely chaos. Got to go parent, have fun. Well, fair enough. Give the children lovely squeezes and loves because they're lovely. There we go. Interesting. Read Spinning Silver. Yes, I read Spinning Silver last year and I loved it. I thought it was so good. So is it just me and my best friend for a bit? Yes, it is. We have the house to ourselves for a fortnight, which is brilliant. And next week. How amazing is this? This is from 2 people who have been poor for a really long time and have had to save up to do anything even vaguely interesting. For the first time in well over 20 years, we're going out because we chose to go out, and we're going to go and have dinner, and we're going to go to see the stage show of Kinky Boots next Wednesday, which is exciting. So I'm really looking forward to that. So we're both just putting a little bit of money away now so that we can go and have dinner somewhere nice. And yeah, it's exciting. And then she'll probably go away and do a little bit of travel. She normally goes and visits people when the kids aren't here. And I will catch up on sleep in the quiet without the children. Oh, I could probably even pre-record to do some uploads. Things to be thought of. And Colin's good. Can't wait to have my discussion with Ben on Ship of Destiny. Yes, and I need to talk to you both before you move on to Tawny Man so we can go over live ships, because I really would love to talk to you both about the whole live ship trilogy once you've had your discussion with Ben on Ship of Destiny. So we both we need to organise that before you kick into Tawny Man. Are you going to read the novella after Ship of Destiny and before going into Fool's Errand. Not that you have to. As I said in my video recently, I am not the book police. They don't offer a course. I haven't received a badge, but it is a good place to read the novella if you wanted to, or you can save it until later because it's not essential to the plot. I just think that's a good place to read it for context. So that sounds like fun. Oh, I'm very much looking forward to it. So yes. Oh, look, and the sun's come out finally. Hooray! It's been cold here. I mean, not freezing cold, but we've had proper frost on the ground for the last few mornings, and that's pretty cold for me. Anyway, Talia's going to be reading the novella. Nice. It's a really good one. So, yes, we need to plan sometime before August. Yay! I don't think we are. I want to save it for after because I know you'll miss it and we'll want more. Very good point. Jimmy did it that way and he was fine. He was like, yeah, that's great. And it was a great little, what's the word that I gave him? It was it's like coming off an addiction. It just sort of helped wean him off at the end because, yeah, that series is, you need to... I recommend buying some really light fluff reads for when you've finished the entire Realm of the Elderlings, because reading other traditional fantasy or even grimdark fantasy or, chunkier fantasy is you're just not going to want to for a little while. And I know Josh at Red Fury Reads just, gave me so much joy, which is a strange thing to say, in reaction to, I don't think I ever want to read anything ever again. But that's kind of how you feel. It's like, well, that just happened. But anyway, and yes, okay, there was a cartoon for Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe from 1979. Well, I'm going to have to Google that and see if I can find it. Thunderstorms for 7 days in a row. So long as you get a good view of thunderstorms, that can be amazing. And, good insulation in your house so you're not freezing your butt off. So... Evie read it after finishing Assassin's Fate. There you go. See, doesn't matter where you read it as long as it's after Live Ships. And yeah, it's as I say, it's not essential to the Realm of the Elderlings plot. It just gives you good context. Jake quite wonderfully said, this is Robin Hobb punishing Fitz from hundreds of years in the past. So this is what happens. I saw the live action Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe and thought Aslan was done extremely well. I actually did too. Yes, it was lovely. And Willful Princess and the Piebald Prince is actually kind of cozy. That is kind of exactly how to describe that. It's like, it's really nice. Anyway. It is good. The Realm of the Elderlings podcast I'm following also reads the short story collection in between the big books. So I'm happy to know I'll be reading those at the appropriate moments in the story. Awesome. You don't want to risk spoiling yourself. Well, this is fair enough. You don't want to do that. Books should also come with the time to actually read them. Yes, they should. And it's probably my most driving reason why there should be universal income. That way I could just read as much as I wanted and not have to worry about paying my bills. And I would be a happier person. I'm sure the people around me would then be happier people. And people who were creative wouldn't have to go to work. They could stay home and just write and be creative, or they could paint and be creative. And we would all be so much happier. Don't you think? I think. You haven't seen the live action Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe, but I might watch it after the books. There are several, and the movie's very good. And the BBC TV show from probably the mid-80s is quite lovely. There's a Realm of the Elderlings podcast. Yes, I'm aware of it. I haven't listened. I should probably, but keep radio. You also have a podcast, Is Fitz Happy, which does a close reading. So it's only for rereaders. Okay, I need to find that one. Definitely. Okay, is it on Spotify? Down for that. Podcast series a read, but I never know what to say. I'm sure we could work it out. I think we'd have to be a little more organised though, but that's okay. I'm thinking, as I said earlier, after messaging Pete regarding the necessity of the last 2 series in Realm of the Elderlings, I'm going to sit down and actually put some serious thought into not rebutting, because I'm not arguing it so much as providing actual quotes to support the way I feel about it. So there you go. And it is wonderful. They discuss about 5 chapters per episode and consist a part of new readers and rereaders. Awesome. Well, I'll definitely be looking that up a little bit later, because I don't always have a Audible book that I want to listen to while I'm doing other things. So, or rather, I do, but there's only so many times you can listen to Discworld. That's not true. That's a lie. I could listen to Discworld anytime. I needed an Audible to go to sleep last night, because Audible listening of books I haven't read before is not helpful to sleep. Because I'm invested in the story and I want to know what's happening, so I pay attention. And so when the timer goes, okay, that's enough, go to sleep now, and turns it off, I just turn it back on again, which defeats the purpose of having an audiobook on to help you go to sleep. So I had to change it to a book that I already knew so that I didn't have to pay such close attention and could go to sleep. And, because you obviously desperately need to know, Guards put me to sleep in about, must have been about 3 minutes, because I only remember the first sentence from last night. But I'm so familiar with the story, it's fine. Anyway, and Shadia's here. Hi, Shadia. It's great to see you. What else we got? The podcast really makes me want to continue picking up Realm of the Elderlings so I can listen to the next episode. Wonderful. I could not be happier about that news because it's amazing and you should. So I'm very glad to hear it. So, which also means that I definitely need to have a listen, because, I like hearing what people think about the books. It's one of my favourite things and why we're here on BookTube. So, but it is also kind of a problem when you've arranged your own read-along, you're late and you haven't given yourself time to take notes. So I need to write down what I do remember of the last third of the book, and then talk to Scott maybe. And anyway, and talk about it, because it is interesting. No problem. The podcast might help you get through the slower portions of Realm of the Elderlings. That's a good idea, because there are some that readers can struggle with. I personally have never felt that, but I am aware that other people do. Much like my difference of opinion with the lovely Andrew. I was like, okay, that's a valid opinion. I will learn to expect that from readers and accommodate that, because it's clearly a valid reading that I don't understand. But I'm trying to understand. It's one of those moments where I realize not everybody loves the same things as me, which is hard, but also kind of cool, because it means that there's plenty of other stuff out there, and some of that's also cool. So anyway, what are we? We're nearly 9:05. I don't know how I ramble this long about pretty much nothing. But anyway, we're at 5:05. I just thought a versus Vetinari versus Nicodemus. Ooh. Oh, that would be glorious. Oh, that would just be so glorious. Vetinari is just, so Machiavellian. I mean, that's literally the point of him. And Nicodemus is a fabulous villain. Just fabulous. Having just finished, remarkably quickly, the last few books in Dresden earlier this month. It's like, yeah, he's a really great antagonist. I'm hoping that the next Dresden book isn't going to be too far away, because I have joined the ranks of those waiting. Anyway, I bet no Denari would ever underestimate humans. No, I don't imagine they would. in the same way that Vetinari doesn't either, and that he expects manipulative behavior. So it would be a good head-to-head battle. It really would. That's intriguing. I like that. Anyway, it's 9:05. I think we should have another sprint and go to past, perhaps. So I'm going to put up the banner for past, and we will see you in 25 minutes. Alrighty. And we're going to slowly bring everybody back to full awakeness and awareness in the real world, which is never as exciting as the fictional one. Making good progress. I read, how many did I read? I read 4 pages. So, but I must have read about 50 pages because I've only got 45 to go. So, yeah. It's all reaching that point in a Robin Hobb book where it's all like, oh, battling for souls. So there you go. And Leah's headed to bed. Well, gone a while, so hope you're sleeping well. What else have we got? Alex Versus. Okay, I have to get rid of that banner. Turn my laptop onto mains power. Okay, banners can go away. There you go. Okay. Alex Versus. There's one I've heard a lot about as well, actually. Oh, what's that one? Is this it? No. This is the other one that gets recommended. Taranol for lovers of Dresden. Rivers of London, apparently, is great. I got this at the second-hand shop, and it's in really good nick, and apparently it's good. But, yeah, anyway. And Emily's back. Yay! Reading your book for work. Oh, yay. Not quite so exciting, but hey, glad that you're here with us. That's exciting. But yes, oh, the sun's out and the weather's fine. It's still cold though. Like it's, what is it? 7 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, and I can't be bothered looking it up, frankly. Oh, we've got somebody new in the comments. Twins and TBRs just joined. Reading The Hobbit. Lovely. That's awesome. About 40% in and wanted to get a few more pages. That's fantastic. Is it your first read of The Hobbit, or is this a reread? I know for most people it would probably be a reread. I've only read it, like physically read it one time. And then I did the audiobook, the new one with Andy Serkis. And, well, that's just fabulous. I have to say, it's fabulous. He was just fantastic. Evie's done well, about 20 pages, finished one story on Gods of Want by Kaiming Chang, and started another story in The Rock Eaters by Brenda Peinado. Short story day for Evie. Nice. Charlie's still dealing with thunderstorms. That's one thing I will say. It may be cold, but it's lovely. It's very calm here, which is kind of strange because the city I'm in, Wellington, is almost famous for being horribly windy. Windy Wellington is the phrase. And yet it's very still. It's very still here today. So very crisp, very cold. There's not a cloud in the sky, which is a beautiful blue. But it's cold. Oh, and Bex is here. Hello, Bex. How are you? I would totally watch any podcast or show, channel, anything. I think you'd be a useful POV. Well, yes, Evie would be, because Evie's really, really good. Okay, once I'm done with the Children YA stuff, probably do Red Rising, and sooner or later Dresden. Good stuff. Oh, it's your third read of The Hobbit. Not listened to the audiobook, but I've heard great things about the circus one. Seriously, I can't rave enough about it. It's fantastic. Going back to this one with Dresden. I can highly recommend Dresden. Like the first few, it took me a very long time to move past the first few, but everybody kept raving about it. So I'm like, it must be worth something. I need to keep going. And I really struggled. And Jake at Jake Bishop, he recommended the audiobooks for me for those first handful of books. And they made a big difference. They made it much, much easier to get through those books. And because it was Jim Butcher being a baby writer, and he has tics that he's got much better at controlling. Yeah, they do get way better. And by the time you hit sort of halfway through the series, it's become a compulsive read. And by the time you're into the last third of the series, it's a roller coaster that you can't put down. So That's your third read. What have we got here? We had some bad storms. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Some towns south of me had tornadoes. We were desperate for rain. Oh, because you've still got the haze from the Canadian fires. Charlie's into Dresden as palate cleanser. Perfect. That's how I do it. Between Dresden and Discworld, they're kind of the right balance, I'm finding so far. I'm still, Dresden's very recent into my reread pile of stuff that I read alongside Realm of the Elderlings, but I did just finish my third read through, and I finished my first read through in September of 21. So, it's pretty good. And you're in Washington, D.C., and the air quality is terrible. Well, I feel for you. I do. That must be awful. Paranol would like to read more YA. They sooner or later go to the part where, oh, there's the fiery destroyer coming at us. Does my hair look okay? Is my... Well, yeah, that's a thing. Because you've got to look fantastic when you save the world. That's kind of the way it goes. Michael just bought Summer Nights. Nice. That can be the point for some people where the series really starts to take off. That's certainly where a lot of the lore starts to really come into it. So I hope you enjoy that. Emily, that's how you did Realm of the Elderlings too. Done with Realm of the Elderlings and finished book 8 of Dresden. Ooh, you're getting to the really good ones. Like really, really, really good ones. So, yeah. Excuse me, but Dresden's fabulous. I am rapidly becoming as vocal a proponent of Dresden as Jake Bishop. I think they're fantastic, and everybody should read them because he does some really clever things with existing fantasy lore, which I really appreciate. Tarnall agrees. Book 8's Summer Nights where it really got good. Okay, Emily, thank God for easy reads alongside the chunkers. Oh my God, yes. Where would we be without them? Thank goodness for people who write the lighter stuff because, sometimes you need some just fun after particularly Hob. The emotional trauma of Hob. It can be a lot, and sometimes you just need that giggle, which is why Dresden and Discworld for me. So, yeah. So I've come back to the Night Watch with Discworld last night with Guards. So that'll be my bedtime book for a while. And Dresden, I obviously will leave it a little bit because I've just finished a reread and I'll probably pick that up again not long before Christmas, probably. Because it gives me I'll do Discworld for a while and then I'll do Dresden. Because, excuse me, obviously I'm constantly reading Hob. So, yeah. And at the moment, I'm reading 2. That's an adventure. It needs to be a portal to fiction. So I could go and start dating Molly from the Dresden Files. Oh, which book, Molly? Needs to be at least after Ghost Days. But anyway. You've been rereading Nancy Drew. Yes, Safe Books for Stroke Brain. I hear you, my friend. I hear you loud and clear. And absolutely, they are the best. Safe Books for Stroke Brain are the best thing ever, which is why Discworld. Also, rereads, just rereads in general, has worked for me. So, but yeah. And Tarnall, you should be ashamed of yourself. She was a teenager. She was a minor. This is why so many people have a problem with the end of Proven Guilty. For more on that matter, go and see Read by Kyle, who is profoundly not happy with the end of that book. Anyway, I have never read a Hob book. Then how on earth did you find me? Because I am quite a, what's the word I'm looking for? Niche. I'm quite a niche channel. So welcome. I'm glad you're here. But I find it odd that you are without having read a Hob book. I'm clearly failing in my mission in life to get people to read Hob. Please read Hob. They're wonderful. Please, please, please. The emotional trauma is worth it, I promise. And to your best friend's dismay, you've never read any Discworld. Okay, that's really sad too. Oh my goodness. Please read some Discworld. In fact, if you are on any of the Discord servers, please get in touch with me and I will talk to you a bit about what you like and see if there's a Discworld that I would recommend particularly for you. So we've got, which one would you recommend first? The first book, which is this one, Assassin's Apprentice. And it is, ignore the title. Seriously, Anne, ignore the titles. The titles are shit. Don't read the blurbs on any of the books because they're all terrible, spoilery, or give you completely the wrong expectations. So, for Hob experience, begin with this book, Assassin's Apprentice. It is a coming-of-age story. It is it's a tragic tale of an orphan boy, but he is a very important orphan boy because in all of the potential worlds that exist, he doesn't exist in very many of them. So he's important. And he goes through some stuff. And it's awesome. Please read it. And Chadia, yes, you're right. Maybe Anne is a Discworld fan. So this is also a valid reason for how you find me. I can't really tell if Fitz is brilliant or kind of dumb. Depends how far you are in the series, because for the first trilogy, he's a child. You know, you meet him when he's age 6, and we leave him around 19. So he's a child, and he has a very limited viewpoint on things, and it's a first-person story. So you're getting his decision-making process from not all of the facts. As the series progresses, it is... he does reflect back on his life. Like, he's in his 60s in the last book. He grows. Derek also hasn't read Hob. Derek, that hurts my heart. And you found me through the Keymark Readathon. Yay! That was great fun. And there's another one beginning tomorrow. Actually, I should go and find out whose team I'm in. If I'm in Bryce's team, I'm going to have to see if I can get a new name for that team, because that team name is ridiculous. But anyway, he's both. That's what makes so brilliant about Hob. His characters are very human, very human. Her characters are phenomenal. Her character work it's just second to none. They are genuine friends in my heart. So very light on assassinations. Don't be looking for that. Seriously, the titles of the books, I think, do the most damage for expectations, because you think you're getting this big action kind of packed thriller. It's really not. Okay, so places in the book that usually would have a plot beat, you know, with an inciting event and a reactive event, and this, they're emotional plot beats. So the plot sort of happens behind the character story, where you're following a person. So they're emotional plot beats, where you get an emotional high and an emotional low, and an emotional betrayal or breakup or flaw, something happens, and then you get resolution. Those are your plot beats in Hob stories. The plot happens behind that. The plot happens around them and in response to them. It is the absolute epitome of character driven. Please read Hob. Okay. Only read Assassin's Apprentice 20 years ago, never continued. Planning to get onto it when you have the confidence. Do go back to it. It does take, because I've heard a few people say this, it does take a more experienced fantasy reader to get with it. So, yeah, do go into it, because it is beautiful. It's beautifully written, but it's not challenging in a prose way. Like, you don't have to have a dictionary next to you. You don't have to stop every sort of 20 pages and go, right, now, what did I just read? You can follow it really easily. But the way the story is told is a bit, it's not the same as a usual fantasy book. But yeah. Darnell, Assassin's Apprentice is a horror book. Puppies die, hearts are broken. Well, I'm not going to disagree with that, because it is true. Actually, no, it's not. Well, it kind of is. Sort of. Well, Yeah, it's an emotional story. It's an absolutely emotional story. The characters in it learn. The characters in it are affected by the impacts on their lives, and those things stay with them. So the things that you read about in Assassin's Apprentice when Fitz is a child, they stick with him, and those things create reactions in him that you keep seeing in later books. So it's important when you have a story that's character driven to get that right, and Robin Hobb does. So kind of is a horror story. There will be tears, not all of them because it's tragic. Most people interpret tears as people die. No, that's those aren't the main reasons for tears in Robin Hobb books. So yeah. Michael found the Farseer trilogy brand new at a used bookstore for $3. I hope you grabbed them and are treasuring them because that's a heck of a deal. And if you are reading or have read them, yay! Will read them. You have them, I'm hoping. There you go. Charlie's excited for you. Found you by searching live reading sprints. Yay! Hooray! Welcome to my live reading sprints. I babble a lot. I hope you feel welcome, and let us know what you're reading and how well you did in the sprint. And yeah, but we should probably, for a quarter of an hour, we'll give it a few more minutes and we'll pick it up again until however long, because I only have 40 some pages to go before I finished Salmon's Crossing, which is pretty impressive that I started and finished it inside 3 days with household chaos ensuing. Oh, so much chaos. Nobody needs that much chaos. Certainly not me. But you know, that happens. It's okay. Once the day settled, I did get to bed quite early last night, even though I did then listen to an audiobook for longer than I intended to. But that's okay. That's why we're now reading Discworld on Audible at night. Guards is so good. Just saying. Yeah, you know, and I do have both versions actually of the Audible. I've got the old one and the new one. I have so many versions of Discworld. It's ridiculous. I think I've got, how many have I got? I've got I must have nearly 40 audio versions, and I don't have some titles at all. But I have multiples of others. So I've got multiples of Guards, of most of the witches. Yeah, because I like to have them all because they all have their pros and cons. And the one I'm listening to at the moment is the old audio with Nigel Planer, and he does just such a fabulous job of drunken vibes. They're my favourite. He also does a very good Lady Sybil, Nigel Planer. Not as much of a fan of some of the new audio. They're well done. The technical quality in them is amazing. And Peter Serafinowicz, who is the voice of Death across the series, is just second to none. He is remarkably brilliant. This is Fitz. He's the most catastrophe-prone man on the planet. Yes, he is. I'm not going to argue. There are people who read Night Angel as their first fantasy series, and they see Farseer and are like, oh, more assassin fantasy, and are very disappointed. I am not surprised. Again, and I this is one of my very early gripes about the series on my channel, was that these titles are really misleading. And of course, to sell a book with this title, the blurb makes it sound more exciting and high-paced and intense action-wise than it is. Because it is intense, but it's emotionally intense. But yeah. So, but if you know what to expect, exactly, coming of age story, it's great. Well, sometimes it's great when you don't too. But if you were dreading an assassin fantasy, but we're reading this book anyway for some reason, that would be a strange reason. Unless you know somebody like me who's like, it's not that. Just read it. You'll like it. Because it's great. What else have we got? Murphy started at Guards. It's a really good one to start with because it does put a lot of the great things about Discworld on display. And it's got a reasonably limited cast, so it doesn't feel overwhelming. It's not one that no, that's not true. I do recommend Guards. I usually, my go-to recommendations for new readers are, if it's anything after September, I go with Hogfather with the Christmas theme. It's a brilliant place to start, and it's very accessible because it's so strongly Christmas themed. And then I go with one of the most recent of them, which was Going Postal, which is a new little arc at book 32, 33. And because that's a new cast with only the secondary, tertiary characters returning, it's a great place for new readers to step in. It's Terry at his absolute pinnacle, and it gives you a really good idea of what the series can be. And from there, you can go back and sort of jump around and get to know the writing. So because they're not sequential, they are sequential in that the world has slowly evolved throughout the series, but they're not. It's not one big story adding up to one big climax. That's not what it is. They're individual stories that all take place in the same world. So it's a bit like a shared world that only Terry plays in. Yeah. And he has different casts of characters that live in different places. And it's marvellous. And I read a fairly good book called Graceling yesterday by Kristen Cashaw. It is YA fantasy, and you flew through it. Well, you must have, because you read it in a day. That's impressive. Here we go. I just remembered the sign of the apocalypse for the Necromacfeagle. The crossing of the arms and the tapping of the feet, the pouting of the lips, and then the explanation. The explaining. Only the big man is good at the explaining. And the tapping of the feet is pretty scary. I love the wee free men. I don't know what Alan's problem is with the wee free men. I love them. I actually have a little sticker of them on my window, a little line of little blue men going across my window, all with raised weapons. And yeah, anyway, I'm a fan of the Necromacfeagle. They're fabulous. Here we go. Oh, Shadia agrees with you, Anne. Graceling is my favourite YA book ever. Truly wonderful. Recommend her other book, Fire, too. Okay. Well, talk to me about Graceling, ladies. Tell me why this is fabulous and why I should read it, because I do like a nice YA story. They're charming and they're light, and sometimes that's kind of what you need, particularly when you're a reader of Hob. Light is good. And yeah, it's that's just, I'm sitting here going, one of my things with having found a good secondhand bookshop is replacing books that were in my library that I had to walk away from many years ago when I left a not healthy relationship. And I left behind hundreds of books. And I've slowly replaced the most dear to me over the years. And I have those on my Kindle, and wonderful BookTube friends have helped me restock my physical library. But my secondhand bookshop is giving me the option to buy back some things I have enjoyed and haven't read for a long time. And among them is Patricia Cornwell's forensic thrillers. And they don't quite qualify as light, fun reads, but they still work kind of well as a palate cleanser for Hob, because they're just so different. And they come to a complete finish, and the murderer is found, and it's been very interesting, but I don't know that they qualify as light and fluffy. Anyway, maybe they stole from Alien. Maybe the thing they stole was nailed to the ground, and maybe they also stole the nails. Seriously, I love the Necromacfeagle. I love it. They're fantastic. Anyway. My book just suggested home visits as a way to build relationship with families. Yes, they did say to make sure to take care of safety, but I'm tired of the expectation of working extra hours. I totally get that. And I know that you work more with special needs students, and that would be perhaps more applicable. Here, that would be so frowned upon. That would, no, that's a blurring of the professional lines for a teacher to get involved in the home life. So that's really hard. That is too much pressure, Emily. That is too much. That's too much. I mean, come on. Alethea DNF'd Graceland a few years ago. Okay. Scarpetta is fabulous. Yes. Has nice themes, world building and romance. Oh, okay, I'm not... I have to admit, if I'm going to do romance, I like it to be grown-up romance. Actually, one of my promises to myself is over the next few months to actually put some of my smart reading on Goodreads, because I didn't do that when I created my Goodreads library. So anyway, any good vampire books? Scary vampire books or romantic vampire books or spicy vampire books? Because they're very different. For vampire books, I can highly recommend Jay Kristoff's Empire of the Vampire, but he has a very distinct voice and you may bounce off really hard because you either really enjoy his writing or you really don't. I love it. I am a huge fan of Jay Kristoff's adult works. I think they're fabulous. I think they're hilarious. I have an absolutely glorious time reading them. And Empire of the Vampire was exactly the kind of vampire story I wanted. But so yes, I can recommend that one. But let me know if you want the more romantic adult kind of vampire works, because I've got lots. Emily, also, if a parent yells at us, we should try to overcome the delivery of the message if it is angry or loud and let them know you are there to understand their concerns. I want to smack the author of this book, Emily. I mean, come on. No, people should not be rude and aggressive to you because that's not appropriate. You're there to care for their child in a way that they're not able to. If they were able to educate their child, they would do that. But clearly, this is something that you have studied and you have skill in, and this is why that you teach. I feel for you, Emily. I really do. I'm surprised you have not yet thrown that book at something. Anyway, you've read Empire of the Vampire. Can't wait for the sequel. Yes! They also remind me of the Vampire Hunters series. Very nice. Okay, this is good to know. Seriously, I really enjoyed Empire of the Vampire. Okay, so for that kind of vein, I'll have a think. Charlie, Empire of the Vampire is great so far. Audiobook. Oh, let me know how the audiobook goes. And does that work with you? You're missing out on the illustrations, Charlie. Go online and have a look because the illustrations in that book are gorgeous. Anyway, Bex read the short story I accidentally read about Centaur Smut. Hey, Smut has a place. I was talking about it on Discord the other week, actually, and how the sexy times in fantasy books are just so painful. Yeah, because they're fantasy authors. Writers of smut are actually pretty good at it. And it's a skill, like writing a battle or writing a conversation. Some people are better at it than others. And fantasy writers don't write romance or sexy times. So no wonder they're not great. But the authors who do and are successful at it are pretty good at it, just saying. Also, Emperor of the Vampire might have the best looking cover in the world. Again, I agree. I think it's fan-frickin-tastic. And yeah, J.R. Ward's Black Dagger Brotherhood, I loved those. They were great. What's the other set of vampire ones that I liked? The Protector series by... who's that by? Teresa Gableman. I liked that one. And there's another one as well. I will actually have to look up my book spreadsheet because I do have them categorized. How about, I hear you are upset, but we need to discuss this. And if you're going to yell, we can reschedule this meeting. Why have you not thrown this book out the window, Emily? I mean, I get it. You need it for work, professional development. No, this is just being a decent human being. That's annoying. I feel your frustration, which isn't helpful in any way, but I know, well, I don't know how you feel. I'm not in your situation, but I can imagine how aggravating that is when someone is just in your face and they don't know what they're talking about and they won't listen. And breathe. Okay, right. Okay. It is about people who are born with different graces. These people are known by their two different coloured eyes. Their main character has grace to kill, so she is used as a thug starting out. Oh, I see. So it's the inherent gift theme. I quite like those. They can be great. The most important quote, vampire quote in the world, Suki is mine. I did like the Suki Stackhouse series. I kind of fell off toward the end because it just started getting, by the time fairies got involved, I was like, okay, I've had enough. My problem with Graceling was the character was late teens, sounded and acted like she was 10, didn't jive. Fair enough. And this is sometimes the issue with YA novels. If they don't quite get that age behaviour right, it can be quite jarring. Parents and some professional literature treating teachers as unskilled is sadly not uncommon. I know, and it's heartrending. Living with a teacher, my best friend's a teacher, the amount of care and effort and genuine concern that she shows for her students to be talked about like she's a babysitter is so offensive. And yeah, anyway. Is that from True Blood? Yes, and Suki Stackhouse is True Blood. It differs wildly from the books. So, Suki, forgot about her. Philip has some romance in The Prophet of Edan, and it's good. Oh, well, to be fair, Philip is pretty talented. I mean, he's a lovely, lovely man. And he's been married for a long time, so he probably knows some stuff. Just saying. How could you forget about Suki? She's unforgettable. She is. She was played really well too by a Kiwi. Anna Paquin. Just saying. You picked up The Historian because you have no willpower. But not sure if it's an actual vampire story. We'll see. If you haven't read it, also Interview with the Vampire is good. Like really good. But I wouldn't bother with the sequels. So... Was it Suki or Sucky? Kind of depended what kind of mood she was in and how much she wanted to smack her. Twins, also a parent who homeschooled my kid for 2 years. Good teachers are gods in this world. Yes, they frickin' are. Teachers should have way more love and appreciation than they do. You have not yet read it, but The Fear of Monquois is a vampire book that's entered in SPF 09. SPF 09. There's actually some really good books in there. I started looking, and by the time I'd added maybe 10 books to my, that looks interesting pile, I was like, okay, I have to stop because this is getting ridiculous. That was funny. Okay. The Making of a True Dictator, Burning Books and Reading People. Reverse is The Making of an Inquisitor. I like that. That's clever. Okay. Another comment from our professional development book was No Nonsense Nurturers organise their time so they can balance personal life as well as meet their students' needs. Whoever wrote this book has no life. I'm sorry, but there has to be a point at which you can go, I'm now off the clock and I don't need to be worrying about these people, which, because I live with a teacher, I know is impossible. It's just impossible. So whoever wrote this book is a bloody moron and should shut up. So if you're not doing both, you're a bad teacher. Yeah, right? Seriously. You read a bunch of Suki Stackhouse books way back. I don't know how far I made it, but there were definitely fairies by the time I quit. I wonder if that was just the point at which everyone went, okay, that's enough. But yes, but Shadi is wonderful. So of course. 20 more pages. Oh, God. Well, hopefully you get there soon because, that's just, anyway. Let's see, hopping off for dinner. Oh, yum. Okay, enjoy your dinner. Thanks for the sprints. Do more for the readathon. You can join in. You absolutely can. I'm thinking with the with a very full house and how much I'm struggling with trying to get actual content out, I'm thinking I might stagger it, where 1 week I'll try and get a video out, 1 week I'll do sprints, 1 week I'll get a video out, 1 week I'll do sprints. I'm thinking I could manage that maybe a bit better. So, Tarnal, everyone underestimates how dangerous fairies are. That's really relevant to what I've been reading. I just finished a reread of Fairy Tale by Raymond Feist. And for the first time ever, because I've read it many times, I've noticed how badly written it is, which is an awful thing to say about an author who's surprisingly prolific. This is not his forte. His character work, I've noticed for the first time, is really clunky. His dialogue is painful. The women I want to strangle. I'm sorry, women are not defined by their roles as wife and mother. Really annoying. But the premise of the story is so good because they are scary fairies. A family has bought a plot of land, and on that land is a resting space for elves, because they're going with Shakespeare's elves who travel. And at on May Day and Hallows Eve, they travel between sites. So this book happens, the family has bought some land, and the fairies happen to show up on that plot of land for the first time in 150 odd years, while this family who knows nothing about them is living there. And so you get the slow build up of all of the things happening with fairies in the area, and it slowly escalates, and some nasty things happen, and there's a child is stolen, because that's what fairies do, they steal children. And yeah, so the story, the actual spine of the story, is fabulous. I wish someone else had written it. So anyway, that happens. So yes, people do underestimate the danger of fairies, except of course for Jim Butcher in the Dresden Files. Oh, you had a nap. Lovely. Nana naps are fabulous. I hope you enjoyed that little nap and you feel rested. Read the entire... Oh, you did finish all the way through the fairies. Well done. Well, I like you hanging out with us, Specs. It's lovely to see you. I like that you've stayed in BookTube since the readathon. I think that that's marvellous. And I hope that you're finding some really good books to help get the brain on board, because I know it's hard and you're doing really well. So welcome back, Evie. Look at all these people. Welcome back. Yay. So which one do I read first? Suki or Vampire Chronicles? I would go maybe with Suki, more because they're just quick, easy reads. Anyway, wait, you have a copy of Fairy Tale by Raymond Feist. Excellent. Like I said, the story, fantastic. Just try and scoot through the not fabulously written bit. I mean, it's not horrible, but it's certainly, it's worth reading, put it that way. It's still absolutely worth reading. Nothing if not loyal. Evie is an absolute darling and is one of just my favourite people in the world. Did me? Yes, I did get a better internet connection. I did. When I moved to Wellington at the beginning of this year, we moved into a house with fibre internet connection, and I recently upgraded my laptop so that it could cope because my other laptop is held together with Bulldog clips. So between the new internet connection and a laptop that can handle the graphics of more than one feed, my streaming is working much better. And it means, hopefully, that when I talk to Alan in the next few weeks, because we're reading Daughter of the Empire together, I can put my hand up for Jeopardy because I have an internet connection now. Yay! And yes, that was literally both the reason I started my channel and got better internet. It's totally Alan's fault. Do I like Stephen King? His writing, not him as a person. Yes, I do. The pinnacle of my reading achievements tunnel was a long, long time ago. I was 16. I didn't have a job. I had no children. I had no responsibilities. So when I had nothing to do, I had nothing to do, and I read it. in one day. I sat down one morning because I was sulking, I was being punished, I was grounded, and I picked up the book in the morning and I read until I finished and loved it. And that was my introduction to Stephen King. It remains one of my favourite books in general. I think it is brilliant. I love The Stand. I love Misery. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I haven't read a lot of Stephen King, but I have enjoyed very much the ones that I have read. So we are long overdue for a chinwag. Yes, we are. Actually, that's the point. What time is it? Gone 10. It's probably only going to do one more sprint. We will book something and do a thing. I'm going to read Bear and the Nightingale this week. We'll totally have a chinwag about that. Totally. Charlie loves King. Not a lot, but great so far. Absolutely. I was talking to, strangely enough, I was talking to my therapist the other day, and she's reading her first Stephen King book. She's reading Fairy Tale, because Fairy Tale, I was reading Fairy Tale, and now she's reading different fairy tales. And I was like, okay. Yeah, I'm in a very niche, so our little bookish opinions don't always match the rest of the world. And she was like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Enjoy it. And she's like, yeah, he's not really, he's not like a literary writer. It's not really my normal sort of thing. I was like, well, no, but his characters are the best you're ever going to read. And she said, actually, yeah, they have a really distinct, feel to them. I'm like, yeah. And I bet you know the secondary characters really well too. And she went, what do you mean? I said, the people who aren't the main story, like the neighbours and the bloke in the shop and, all the things. I bet you know them really well. And she goes, do you know, I do. There's a woman who lives next door, and she started telling me all about this character. And I was like, there you go. That is how well Stephen King writes character. So if nothing else, if she doesn't enjoy Fairy Tale, I think I can convince her to go into something else of his, which is great. A jolly book about a dancing clown and people who float. Nice. Oh, yeah, it's just fun. It's totally fun. It is a mind fuck, but it is great. I mean, general chinwag. Well, this is true. We do tend to go off on oddly strange, long tangents. So we may just have to have a non-on-screen chinwag and catch up because, yes, it has been a little while and I do miss you. Okay. You read The Stand and On Writing in college, and then The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon last year. The latter I would have liked more if I'd known more of what it would be about. Oh, fair enough. Here we go. Oh, look, she's hit the wall. She's ready to throw the book. But you're in Panera, so it might be frowned upon. Well, they might decide, she's turned into a scary lady. What can we do to help? Would you like a thing? Anyway. The last book I finished was The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. Well, there you go, twins. This is one lovely thing about Stephen King. Among our section of the internet, it's going to be rare to come across someone who hasn't read any Stephen King. Most people have read something because he melds genres so well. So if you're into like real horror, obviously you're going to have read Stephen King. But if you're into more gritty stuff, that's the, see, here we go, Charlie as well. That's the book Charlie started with. So, and Michael's read Needful Things on Tuesday. Happy when Ace from Stand By Me showed up. Yes, a lot of the connections and connective tissue is so wonderful. And I mean, I haven't read The Dark Tower, but I understand that that's the core sort of thread that runs through many of these books. So that's awesome. I really like. And there's often little nods of characters in different books. I do appreciate that. Of course, my name is Derry, so the fact that so much of it takes place in Derry, Maine is kind of hilarious to me. That's fun. I thought it would be more horror and it was more a survival thriller, which I'm not into as much. Fair enough. And yeah, and Daniel's only read The Dark Tower. And that's the joy of an author who is so prolific. You can have read such wildly different parts of their collections. Arnold started with Pet Sematary. I will never think of Oz, the Great and Terrible, in the same way again. No, That is a disturbing story. But I find Stephen King to be disturbing rather than horror. Some of the things, he's got his finger on what makes people frightened, and that's scary. But anyway, Emily just read about what you can do on your weekends to connect with students. Your weekends are your own. Anyone who says differently needs to off and have a real life, because clearly they aren't in one. They are not in the real world. That I can tell everybody here right now, there is no way Emily is going to work on a Friday, coming home, and then not thinking about her students until Monday morning. I can guarantee you that is not what Emily is doing. The fact that they want Emily to invest even more energy into the students, just no, that is not okay. Shadia read his older books, Christine, Cujo, Firestarter. Wasn't a fan of Fairy Tale. Yeah, of the Stephen King that I've read, most of it is his older stuff. I really liked Christine. I thought Christine was fantastic. The idea of a sentient car, kind of frightening when you consider how reliant we are on our vehicles. It's kind of scary. So, yeah. And yes, Emily, I don't blame you for wanting to throw that book. I really don't. That is horrible advice. And that you have to read it for professional development. I would be questioning whoever is asking you to read that. That is not okay. Like, seriously, that is the fastest line to burnout I could imagine. That's seriously crazy. Oh my goodness, it's gone 10:15. That's ridiculous. Okay, I think we should probably, after I read this comment, think about sprinting again. I'm not wrong about King being disturbing. Oh God. The Stand as a starter King book at the age of 18 was sure something. Well, yeah. Some of that is disturbing. I did find The Stand oddly hopeful. I liked the what's the word I'm looking for? The determination that was shown in the survivors of The Stand. And I really liked the interludes in The Stand, where he just branches off and tells you about random people who, this is what happened to this one, and that's what happened to that one. I really enjoyed that. That's that character writing of his really shining. The expectations are set too high. Oh, for teachers in general, I can only imagine the pressure on Emily as a teacher for special needs students. I mean, that's crazy. Oh, here we go. Twins has on the weekend, but rarely and entirely voluntarily. Yeah. And that's the thing. It has to be something that you are choosing to do because it's something that, you've invested your time in, and that's part of, what you've decided to do, not because it's part of your professional guidelines. I mean, piss right off, frankly. That is not okay. Anyway, I think we should read for a bit because I need to calm down. It's 20 past. So if we go for half an hour, that'll go to 50. And that should see me to the end of my book. Fingers crossed. Alrighty, muting myself now. And I finished my book with minutes to spare because we're back now in the real world. How is everybody doing? Well, I'm very, very happy for Emily, who has finished her book. Hooray! And has a Zoom meeting in August to get recognition for those professional development hours. And it's one that she's done as an option rather than as required reading by the school, which is a huge relief to me, because it means that it's not going to be considered part of your actual job. So that's a massive relief to me. But just the fact that that's even in the book about professional development, and it's talking about you spending so much of your personal time, that just offends me. I find that really offensive. That's a terrible thing. I mean, Evie finished a story from the Rock Eaters. Cool. So does that mean that you've read 2 short stories today or 3? Either way, go you. That's awesome. I'm very impressed. How did everybody else do? That's me and Emily finishing a book. Yay! That's so exciting. I can go off. And now Emily is watching to see if a student will complete his coursework on time, because 7 minutes, oh dear, that is last minute, literally. Well, very nearly literally. Fingers crossed. So if he doesn't get the summer school credit, that's a bit of a disaster, I'm guessing, because yeah, that's stressful. I don't even understand how summer school works. We don't have summer school here. To be fair, our education system is undergoing some huge changes. They're a little concerning, but I'm informed enough to have an opinion, but not well informed enough to have a properly informed opinion, if that makes sense. Which, to be fair, is me about most current events in general, really. So I try not to be too opinionated about stuff, just as far as what I deem to be fair and unfair and appropriate and not. And I don't think that the book that you were reading is entirely appropriate in terms of the choices it expects or asks of you. But, that's just me. And that made 3 short stories for Evie. Good Lord. And you're going to read another one to finish Gods of Want after we're done here. And then you can read your chapter of Assassin's Quest. I like that you're leaving chapters of Hob as your reward. So hang on. You're going to have finished 4 stories and then make progress in your reread of Assassin's Quest. That's awesome. That is a great reading day, Evie. Go you. I know that Colin and Ben are both really doing well going through Chip of Destiny. In fact, I think Ben might have just finished it. And so, yes, I'm looking forward to talking to them about that. Actually, I should probably log into Discord. I haven't been in there for a couple of days because chaos, and I can only deal with so much interaction in a day. So I must catch up in there and see what everyone's been saying and add my own thoughts about Soldier Sun. Because, as I say, I haven't been taking very many notes. I have been doing a big write of the chunks that I've been reading, but it's not the same as sort of by chapter. But there you go. And 85% into The Magician's Nephew. According to Libby, I'll get book 2 in roughly 2 weeks. I hope it arrives sooner. It's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. There's bound to be one on maybe script, maybe try script. And to be fair, you may find that there may be an Audible somewhere on YouTube. It would be worth looking. Yeah. I don't know if it's out of copyright. I'm guessing it must be nearly out of copyright. But yeah. I was trying to think. I don't even know how old it is. It's pretty old. Surely you must be able to. I'm sure you can find a copy sooner than in 2 weeks. Just ask your friends. Someone's probably got a copy on their kid's bookshelf that no one's reading. And Charlie is on page 457 of Assassin's Quest. Nice. Depends what copy you've got and roughly whereabouts you are in the story. But it's got to be, 2/3 through? Roughly, I think. Must be, surely. Are you in Jampe yet? Put it that way. But yes, I think that might have been our last sprint for the day because I'm really cold. I need to go down the other end of the house where the sun is shining in the window, because while I can see the sun out of my window, this side of the house is in shade. So for actual sunlight and warmth, I need to go to the other end of the house, which means I could probably make myself some lunch and have another cup of tea, because I've only had one cup of tea so far today. And I deserve another one, because I do. I just do. But I've probably answered this a bunch, Matt. I actually haven't answered that a bunch, because while I read the Soldier Son trilogy when it was published, I have zero memory of reading it. I remember how I felt about it, and because I read it as it was published and it wasn't a Fitz book, my emotional reaction was just not being happy that it wasn't a Fitz book. So I didn't enjoy that trilogy as well as it probably deserves. I literally just finished Shaman's Crossing in the last sprint for the first time since then, and I really enjoyed that. I did. The writing it's again very Hobb. It's very internal monologue of a young man who's struggling and the events that happen around him. And she did the usual thing where nothing's really happening, or nothing appears to be happening, and it's all just kind of going along, and you're learning about him and his life and the people around him. And then all of a sudden you're sort of like, oh my God, you're really in it. And then the book ends and you're like, but what? I need to read the next bit. So yeah, I have enjoyed Shaman's Crossing this time through, and I'll probably be giving it probably a 4 stars, but I actually think because I will reread it again. Already I know that. I think that will probably increase as I reread them. And because from what I am so familiar with Realm of the Elderlings, is the following books will heighten the information that I got in the first one. So yeah, that's a solid 4 from me so far. Also, I know that Chris Bookish Cauldron, who is fantastic, by the way, he rates it higher than Realm of the Elderlings. So take that for what it's worth. Everyone knows everything in Jampe, and chaos ensues. Yes, chaos does in fact ensue. So good luck. Enjoy. I love everything from here. I love. What am I saying? I love the whole series. Everything from Jampe on is the meat of the story in Assassin's Quest. And I hope you love it, because it's fabulous. And have I seen Puss in Boots 2? I think I've seen bits of it in passing. I'm pretty sure the teenagers have watched it at some point. Yes, because that has the female cat in it, doesn't it? Yes. Yes, it does. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen bits of it. I don't remember the whole story of it. But never mind. Anyway. But what are we? Well, we're at 11 o'clock and I started these at 8. So that's nearly 3 hours. I'm going to call it a day, guys. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. I really appreciate that. And yeah, enjoy what you're reading. I hope you're all really enjoying them. Emily, hey, enjoy the rest of your day. And Evie, I'm sure I will chat to you soon on Voxer. And everybody else, hey, catch up with me in Discord. I don't have my own. That's just ridiculous. There's so many Discords out there. So, yeah. But I know Matt has a Discord, Matt's Fantasy Book Reviews, that he is currently sharing with, I think, Colin or Ben, one or the two of you. Anyway, have fabulous evenings, days, whatever part of the day that you're in. Oh, bless. Thank you so much, guys. I will catch you next time, because I will be doing these a little more regularly again. Bye.